Hello fam, how are you all doing? Let's talk about this story making rounds on TikTok. A lady got on her page on TikTok to tell us a story of how her co-worker manhandled her in a vulnerable state. Let's watch the video.
Here is my story on how I broke my jaw. I woke up to a broken jaw on May 18th after a night out drinking with a male coworker. Open gash on my chin so deep that you could see my bone. My jaw was broken this way and completely detached right here. My teeth had almost completely bitten through my lip, my bottom one sliding through the inside. I have a huge amount of scar tissue right here. There's stitches all in here, all down here. And then my front top teeth bit through. I don't know if you can see the scar tissue. My front tooth completely came out, root and all, and then I chipped my other front tooth. And there is a molar that is chipped on the inside. That was all of my injuries though. I didn't break any other bones, didn't crack my fingers, I had nails on, didn't lose a nail, just a lot of bruising. On Saturday night, May 17th, me and my coworker decided to go out for drinks after work. Yes, he was a male. Yes, it was our first time hanging out. Yes, that was my first mistake. We decided to go to a bar that my friend was working at. When we arrived to the bar, it was completely empty. There was no one there and my friend was leaving. So the three of us left together in one car to go to a new club. The line was really long. My friend didn't want to wait, so she left me and my coworker there, which I never, ever blamed her for or was mad at her for or felt any type of way towards. Me and my coworker finally make our way inside the club after waiting 25 minutes, and we immediately head to the bar. He orders us 2 shots each and a tequila soda, and that is literally the only thing I remember from that entire night. I will say that we were drinking in the car before we got to the bar, so I did not get there stone cold sober. I have never in my life ever blacked out before. I always know my limits when I'm drinking, and I don't do any sort of drugs or anything else like that. I'm literally 90% of the time a sober sister. So this was so unlike me. Everything that happened.
Let me say this. What some men do, they spike people's drink at the bar. So I get what she's saying. If you're not careful, they will spike your drink and then you wake up in a state of not even remembering anything that ever happened.
My story on how I broke my jaw. Part 2. This was my first time ever blacking out, and it was also my first time ever going out alone with a man. I don't remember anything else from that night. I wake up in the morning on May 18th to a text from my coworker saying that I had taken a fall down the stairs and I peed myself, and he did his best to clean me up. He got me in bed and to call him in the morning. I was not in any pain when I woke up. There was nothing that immediately flagged me that oh my god, I'm in pain, I'm in danger, something happened. I literally read the text, I responded, LMAO, I'm so sorry. Because I was so embarrassed that I, 1, got too drunk, 2, fell, 3, peed myself. After I sent that text, I went back to sleep. I finally get up around 8 a.m. on May 18th, Sunday morning, and I make my way to the bathrooms and brush my teeth like I do every single morning. When I looked in the mirror, this is what I saw looking back at me. I didn't even know. I don't even remember my first initial thought. I don't think I don't process things very well. So guess what the first thing I did was? I proceeded to brush my teeth. Literally jaw hanging off, and I'm oh yeah, let me just. I'm texting my best friend and I'm I'm so calm about the entire thing, which is bizarre. And I'm oh my god, my teeth are gone. And she's what the f are you talking about? And I'm just texting her and I'm oh my god, dude, my teeth are literally gone. She's send me a picture. I send her a picture. She immediately starts freaking out because she's not one to stay calm. She starts freaking out, as she should, honestly. And I go downstairs and I finally notice that my room looks like a murder scene. My room literally looks like someone was murdered in it. There was so much blood all over my carpet. My carpet's white. All over my bed. Literally the whole thing was covered in blood. Smeared on the wall down the stairs. There was blood on the floor. There was blood everywhere. I wish I took pictures. I didn't take pictures of anything. I was so ill prepared. I end up texting my coworker and I'm what the fuck happened? I know you said I fell, but what the fuck happened? What happened? He obviously doesn't answer because he's still sleeping. Whatever I was wearing, I woke up in a bathrobe. I woke up with my hair in a bun, all my jewelry was off, my makeup was off, my contacts were out, I don't know if I was so blacked out that I didn't feel the pain of my jaw and I continued to get unready for bed, or if no, because he said that he undressed me. I think the scariest part is not knowing what happened to me when he brought me home. And
Ladies, we have to be careful. There are so many drugs out there that men use to spike women's drinks. When your drink gets spiked, when you fall victim, you're most likely to lose your memory. You cannot remember what happened. You become extremely vulnerable. You pass out. And then when you pass out, they can do anything to you. When you wake up, it becomes difficult for you to tell what actually happened to you because you were left in a vulnerable state. So when you go out there to drink, don't leave your drink unattended to. Sometimes they liaise with the bartenders, and be honest, they liaise with the bartenders to spike some women's drink. So you have to be very careful.
Ring camera footage of him getting me in the house, and I am so annihilated. I am so obliterated. I can't even walk. It's insane to see myself like that because I've never been like that. But I had to be somewhat still conscious because I had to tell him where I lived, give him the keys to get in the house. We got back to the house around 2:45, and then he walked back out to his car at 2:53. So 8 minutes after we got in my house, he walked back to his car at 8:53, grabbed something, and then came back in, and he didn't leave again until almost 4 a.m. where he's walking out with his bloody t-shirt. And then he leaves.
Oh my God.
The scariest part is that he refuses to tell anyone what happened that night. I texted him a million times. He kept saying, I took a fall. I think what baffles me the most is like, you see, I took a fall. I'm completely annihilated. I don't even probably know what's going on. He saw that my tooth was missing. He knows I'm bleeding a lot. His t-shirt was covered in blood if he was trying to clean me up. You left me there. He left me there bleeding in my bed. I woke up to so much blood. I also was drinking, so my blood was thinner. I could have bled out that night. The human decency. You could have just slept on my daybed. I have a second bed in my room. You could have slept and stayed with me for the night. You could have taken me to the hospital. You could have called the ambulance. Or you could have seen if anyone else was home. I live with other people and he knew that. The fact that he just cleaned me up and put me to bed is ridiculous. It's crazy. I could have died. I literally could have died that night and no one would have known what would happen. No one would have known a single thing that would have happened to me. But for the first 2 or 3 days, that didn't click in my head. I didn't view him as a villain. I didn't view anyone as a villain. In my head, I got too drunk. I fell down the stairs. I was embarrassed that I drank too much. I was embarrassed that I fell. I was embarrassed that now my jaw was broken, and I was embarrassed that I pissed myself. And I didn't want to tell anyone. I almost didn't even tell my mother about it. I end up calling my boyfriend, and he picks me up and immediately takes me to the hospital.
It took her 3 days to realize the possible incident that might have occurred that night. She didn't stop for a moment to think, oh, this guy inflicted this pain on me. Rather, she was being grateful that he was there to assist her, or she drank too much. The fact that she blacked out, could not remember anything, is already suspicious because that is what those drugs do. They make you lose your memory. You don't get to remember what happened a day before. I'm just wondering what led to him taking off at it. I'm wondering what led to him shifting her jawline. Was she struggling or was he pissed? Did he have hatred for her? So he saw that as an opportunity to beat her up and also sleep with her.
Part 3? I literally could have died that night and no one would have known what would happen. My coworker is being so dodgy with answering questions. I'm asking him what happened after I fell. Did I fall when I first got there? What did I do? Did I know that I fell? Was I acting like I was drugged or was I just drunk? I told him I was at the hospital. I think I'm gonna get a drug test, whatever. And he's like, yeah, do it. And then he pulls the, well, you did leave me for 15 minutes at the club. And I was like, what do you mean I left you? And he's like, you went and talked to other people for 20 minutes. I end up calling my boyfriend and he picks me up and immediately takes me to the hospital. The first hospital we go to completely wastes my time. They did nothing for me. We spent 8 hours there. They did literally nothing. They took pee samples. I don't even think they took blood samples. I think they just gave me an IV. And then they were like, yep, your jaw's broken, but we don't handle that here. And I was like, so what? They didn't even give me medicine. They gave me literally nothing. We end up going to Boston Hospital. Thankfully, my boyfriend's mother works in hospitals. She was able to get me a private room that same day. Literally, thank you God, because I don't know what I would have done without that. I check in around 7 p.m. and let me just say, I've already used the bathroom at this point. I brushed my teeth. I took a shower before I went to the Boston hospital. There was so much blood in my hair and just everywhere. They're asking if I want to do a grape kit, and I'm like, no, because in my head, let me say again, for the first 3 days, I did not think anyone was the villain at all. In my head, I also thought that nothing like that would ever happen to me. It's never even crossed my mind that I could be in danger like that. I don't ever think about myself like that at all in those situations. So at first I said no. Mind you, I already showered, already used the bathroom, already brushed my teeth, and I was also just in so much pain. I just really didn't feel like doing a kit, and I also genuinely didn't think that anything would ever happen or that he would have done anything to me to begin with. My boyfriend and everyone asked the hospital a million times to please take blood samples and test me to see if I've been drugged. They took literally 12 blood samples. This was my arm from how many blood samples they took from me. And we made it very clear, please drug test me. We get the test results back from the hospital, and those mother effers didn't even test me for drugs. They tested me for alcohol, which and then they tested me for some sort of psychosis medicine. They didn't test for Xanax, they didn't test for a roofie, they didn't test for a Molly, they didn't test for anything that we specifically asked for. What did you do with my 12 samples of blood? What do you mean you didn't freaking test me when I'm sitting here debating a grape kit? I'm telling you, I don't remember my night. I'm coming in with a broken jaw. I end up getting discharged from the hospital. Literally everybody is telling me, you need to file a police report. You need to get the police involved. And I was like, I don't want to. I really don't want to. Because I just knew that the police couldn't do anything. But they're like, they can go to the club. They can view the footage. They can see if you've been drugged. They can question this man. They can get everyone's story. If he ever did anything to anyone else or anything like that, they would have it on file. You need to file a police report. And I was like, okay. At the beginning, I just didn't want to do any of that. I did not think that my coworker was in the wrong. I thought it was nice of him that he cleaned me up, had to deal with all that. I've only known him for 2 months, you know what I mean? It's not like we were besties. I felt like a burden, that there's nothing worse than being that drunk friend, and that's what I felt like. I was literally so embarrassed. So about 6 days after the incident, we went and filed a police report. The thing is that I didn't know what I wanted from the police report. I didn't know what I wanted the police to get from me, which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to do the police report. I guess my biggest thing was I really wanted them to check the footage of the club and question my coworker that was involved. That's literally, I think, all I wanted from them. So we open the police report. I tell them everything. I give them all the screenshots that I have. I give them everything. And they're like, okay, we're gonna go to the club. We're gonna see if they have the footage. We're gonna do everything that we can to help you. Days go by and I don't hear anything from the police.
Ladies, we have to be vigilant. We have to be smart. We have to be aware of the society we live in. We have to understand how men are, how thirsty a lot of men are. Ignorance is not an excuse. Being naive is not an excuse. How can something of that magnitude happen to you and you're taking it in so chilled and thinking no one is the villain, everyone is a victim? I don't understand. Let's don't be naive to the point that we lose our lives in the process. Men cannot be trusted, especially when a woman is in a vulnerable state. Men cannot be trusted. A lot of men walking on the street are thirsty. All they think and dream is sex. It takes a good man to help that lady without touching her, without sleeping with her in that vulnerable state. Who even put her in that state in the first place? Like she said, she doesn't really drink. You need a lot of alcohol in your system for you to pass out the way she has explained the story. Obviously, her drink was spiked. You can't be thinking about you not wanting to bother someone, disturb someone when your health is at risk. We've not even spoken about the penetration. We don't know if she has gotten a disease from what happened. Since she was in doubt, the first thing she would have done was go for that grape test, then get prophylaxis. Ignorance is not an excuse.
On how I broke my jaw. Days go by and I don't hear anything from the police. Mind you, my coworker texted me again, checking up on me, asking if I was okay. We called the detective days later and we're like, hey, anything? They say they went to the club to get the footage, but they got new security systems on the 21st, so all that footage is gone. I broke my jaw on the 18th. So all that footage is gone. I think clubs don't like sharing footage because it makes them look bad. They don't want to be known as the place where a girl got roofied, taken home and assaulted, and woke up with a broken jaw. You know what I mean? They don't want any smoke. So they got a new system. Could the police have pushed harder? I don't know. Do they actually care? Probably not. My detective was also a fucking man, so they're like, so that's out of the board. Like, a drug test would really help. And we're like, well, we tried to get a drug test. The hospital didn't test us. A hair test, maybe we can go that route, hoping that they would help with the expenses, because it's like $700 for a hair test. We're on our own. We're on our own with that. Hospital won't help. The police won't help. Insurance won't help. No one's going to help us cover the hair test. So then we're like, well, did you pull my coworker in? Did you get his side of the story? He was like, we reached out to him. He said he was going to come in. He never did. This was days ago. So that's it. That's it. They didn't keep trying to contact him. They didn't, like, the police don't care. They don't care about anything. They didn't care about answers. They didn't care about me. They didn't try.
No, you can't sit there and blame the police. You were told what to do, but you refused to do it because you were being naive to the situation. You have to fight for yourself. Police has got numerous cases they're dealing with. I'm not in any way saying that the way the police handled the case is the best way, but she should have fought for herself. She had everything. She had every ammunition to deal with the case, but she chose to be ignorant. Even when people told her about it, she insisted by saying she didn't want to do that. So now you cannot sit here and blame the police. You refuse to help yourself and you're blaming the police for not helping you. If only you had that test done and you pushed harder for the drug test to be done. If you went to a clinic, a hospital, and they did not give you what you wanted, what stopped you from going to another hospital? It just shows how nonchalant she was regarding the situation, the case. Now you're blaming the police. Please don't do that.
So that's it. That's it. They didn't keep trying to contact him. They didn't, like, the police don't care. They don't care about anything. They didn't care about answers. They didn't care about me. They didn't try at all. You know what I mean? And this is exactly why I didn't even want to go to the police in the first place. Because I know that they're so fucking useless. They don't do anything, ever, especially for a woman. And especially for a colored woman. So that really pissed me off. And it was just, like, confusing to me. I was getting really confused with why my coworker wasn't just telling us what happened to me that night. Like, what happened that you cannot tell us? And I remember I was texting him and I was trying to get the story from him. I have a boyfriend and I didn't know if anything happened between me and my coworker that night. So I was trying to get that out of him. And by doing so, I was kind of setting it up to be like, you know, my boyfriend's really upset with me. Did you tell him what we did that night? My boyfriend knew all this. We were just trying to get my coworker and see if he would admit that something happened. And he said, no, I didn't tell him anything, but do you remember now? And I was like, oh my God, like, did something happen? Because I don't remember. And when we told the police that, they told me to stop contacting him. So we didn't go any further with that, even though I think I could have got something out of him. The whole thing really stresses me out because we don't know when I fell and broke my jaw, right? He could have got me home and I could have immediately fell and broke my jaw. Or he could have got me home, he could have done something to me. I could have been going to the bathroom and then fell and broke my jaw. Do you know what I mean? We don't know anything because he wouldn't tell us the fucking story. So now I'm really getting, like, stressed out and pissed off at the fact that I'm not getting any answers and it looks like I'll never get closure. The drug test fell through. I didn't do the grape kit. Which, ladies, if you're ever even debating on doing a grape kit, just do it. Like, if I could go back in time and do it, I would, like, I wish I had done it, and I really wish that we pushed for the drug test, but whatever. After the detective calls me and tells me that my coworker never showed up for questioning, my coworker then hits me up again to see how I'm doing. And he's like, you know, I know you went to the police. I don't blame you for that. I want you to know that I am going to be going in, giving my statement. I wasn't supposed to be talking to him. In some way, hearing that he was going to finally say his side of the story brought me some sort of peace. And I was like, maybe I'll finally know what happened to me. And he even said, he was like, I hate that you will never get the closure that you need. What do you mean you hate I'll never get it?
I'm just forced to ask, how old was she when this happened? Because she said her co-worker. So I believe she was above 18. Why is she acting like a baby? Why is she thinking like a child? You had an incident and you're waiting to get a closure from someone you should be suspecting. I really don't know what to say, honestly. The more she tells the story, the more angry I get, honestly. How can a grown woman handle something like this? It's like so many women don't understand the world we live in. How thirsty men are. Not all men, but a lot of men.
It to me. Like, you can tell me every single thing that happened that night. Unless you magically don't remember anymore either. Like, it was like he was just playing games. He doesn't understand that I broke my jaw. My life has been on pause for the last 6 weeks. I literally was couch ridden for 2 weeks. I couldn't even move. I was crying. I was having panic attacks. Like, and he's saying, I'm sorry, you'll never get the closure you need. You can give that to me. It doesn't make any sense. So whatever, that was the last time I heard from him, and that was the last time I heard from the detective, and that was literally the last time I heard from everyone involved. That is the confusing, underwhelming story on how I broke my jaw. I don't know. Like, long story short, I do not know how I broke my jaw because I do not remember and no one would get answers for me. I think I just have to live the rest of my life not knowing what happened to me that night. There's good and bad in it. I truly appreciate the fact that I don't remember the fall. I can't even imagine the pain of breaking your jaw in 2 places, biting through your lip, gashing your chin open, losing your teeth. I also had bruises on my chest, on my hands, on my knees. So the fall adds up. The fall makes sense. I don't think he pushed me. I don't think he punched me. I don't think I rejected him and he got angry. There's so many theories, like, in my little circle. Not that we'll ever know what was true. I genuinely do think I probably tripped and fell. I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm going to keep telling myself, because we'll never know at this point, so we can make up any sort of story about what happened. One day I will process this, and it will hit me really hard, and I fear the day that comes. Because in my mind, I think I protect myself from a lot of things by just blocking it out and not paying any sort of attention to it. That's what I've been doing with the situation, and every time someone would try to get me to talk deeper about it, I would just close it off. I don't do well with processing emotions. Moral of the story, don't trust a man, don't go drinking with men alone, take the grape kit, push the drug test, and really just take care of yourself, push for the things that you need. I wish that I advocated for myself louder and stronger and harder. And I'm so grateful that I had such a great support system with me. I'm so grateful and so lucky, because I would not have been able to get through this really difficult situation without them. And to this day, I really can't believe that it happened to me. When I tell you I had the mindset that nothing bad would ever happen to me ever. But life works in very mysterious ways. I genuinely think this was a lesson that I had to learn, and I always learn lessons the hard way. I hope that me sharing my experience can provide comfort and peace and maybe inspiration for other people in their experience. I know there's a lot of victims out there who don't believe in justice. And although I didn't get justice through police, I do think that karma always has a way of making its rounds, and everyone will get what they deserve in the end. I'm grateful for all of you guys for just caring about my story and wanting to hear it, and I hope that this video kind of makes it more clear on what happened. And if you want to hear more about my recovery experience and how I've just been coping with everything, I post videos about that.
Let me don't be too harsh on her. There are some people living in this world that thinks the way she does. In their head, as long as they are not wishing anyone bad, as long as they are not plotting evil for anyone, they don't expect anyone to wish them bad or even think evil of them. But that's not how this life is. It's like you saying, I'm a good driver. I went to the best driving school. I took the best driving lesson. I'm good at driving. So because of that, I will never get involved in any form of car accident. How true is that? Of course, that's not true, because accident happens in different ways. You could be driving and get hit by someone that doesn't know how to drive, or someone that knows how to drive, but accident happened. So what I'm trying to say here is this: not because you have good mind, you have good intention towards people, means that the people around you are not thinking evil of you. The people around you cannot think evil of you. The best way to navigate this life is to be prepared at all times. If you have a girl child, you need to educate her on how this world is, on how men are, because men are the problem. Men are predators to both women and their fellow men. They are the problem, not the wild animals, but the men that we have in our society. They are the biggest problem here. I strongly believe something happened to her, not the fall, because the way the colleague handled the case says a lot about it. The colleague was very certain that she was never going to remember anything. He did his own part. He played his card. That was was why he was chilled about the whole thing. He was also certain that the club owners were not going to release the CCTV footage, so he was sure no one was coming for him. But where she made the mistake was when she decided not to take those tests. I know she still believes she fell. That test would have told her exactly what really happened. If she did the test and she found out that she wasn't gripped, his semen wasn't in her, then she would 100% believe that she fell. It could also be he beat her up. Please, let's all be smart as ladies, because the world we live in is not fair to us ladies. So we have to be smart. We have to be on alert. I'm not saying we should be paranoid, but we should be aware of what the society is like to women, especially when we have men ruling, and men are the predators, like I said. You can't be a grown woman and choose to handle things the way she did. Please let me know what you think about this in the comment section.